Okay. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you are being questioned. If you cannot afford a lawyer, or if you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning, if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you? Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk now? Now, I'm not going to ask anybody here if this has been recited to them or not. That's maybe private.
What's writing you?
But what I will tell you is that I have never heard, that's never been recited to me before. But I have been locked up on 2 occasions in my life. One for a 3-day hold, and the second time for 3.5 weeks. And and as you know, I'm a person that's living with a mental health diagnosis. And things have changed in our society and our community, but there's still a long way to go when it comes to stigma and rights for those with the diagnosis. So everyone, my name is Lisa Belanger, and I work in the mental health field, and it's a field that I think I'm going to stay with for the rest of my life, whether through extensions or doing other work, but it will always relate to mental health. So my speech today is really about the judgment and treatment of individuals living with mental health diagnosis. I will start by kind of comparing the criminal justice system versus the mental health system. I will share some of the stigmas that we face, my peers and I, and share the need for awareness and understanding and empathy for my peers. The benefits of it, I'll share some of the benefits of if this happens, and also kind of share a proposal I have that I think could help. So crime versus mental health. As I kind of shared, mental health, when you are charged with a crime, you face a judge, you face a jury and everything. But when you are, when it is decided and deemed necessary for you to be hospitalized for either being suicidal or, grandiose, manic, whatever the case may be, yes, you may be doing things that are unsafe and everything, but it's coming from within inside you, and you're not necessarily doing anything to hurt anybody. And you're just taken away until you kind of conform to their rules. And one interesting fact to it is, kind of getting back to the smoking thing, is as of last year, smoking is now banned in mental health institutions. So if you're inpatient, you can't smoke at all. But yet, if somebody goes out and kills, I don't know, if one of these schools, one of these kids goes out and murders a bunch of people and is in prison for the rest of his life, he still has a right to go outside for a cigarette. So, just a thought. I shared this just to open your eyes to the other side of life as an individual living with diagnosis. The main focus of this, of my speech, of this injustice that I'm focusing on, is mostly due to I just want to focus on the stigma that's associated with it, because it can be very crippling. Well, it is very crippling when you face a diagnosis, and the first thing that you think is, what is everybody going to think of me? That's it's just so crippling. According to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, which is NAMI, 1 in 5 people worldwide have a mental or neurological diagnosis at some point in their lives. So in this class, let's just say 20 people, at least 3 other people here, including myself, know what I'm talking about. 450 million people worldwide currently suffer from such conditions, placing mental illness among the leading causes of ill health and disability. Treatment works, but nearly 2/3 of all people with a known diagnosis never seek help from health professionals. Why? because of the stigma. So now the stigma can be associated, come from family, your upbringing, it can come from our culture, but a huge component I feel in stigma is media, right? I mean, there are some excellent movies out there, don't get me wrong. I love Psycho, it's a great movie. But, I mean, come on now, I mean, really? And then like a more recent movie, like Shutter Island. I saw that movie with my father and my stepmother, both of whom were with me when I went through all this stuff that I went through in my life. My diagnosis is bipolar. And the main character in that, well, not the main character, but the female figure in that movie, she goes on a rampage and kills her whole family. And what's her diagnosis? Bipolar. So this is like what's out there. For people that don't look into the information and read up on it on their own, they just get what's in Law and Order and all these TV shows. Whenever you see a diagnosis, they're the crazy person that killed all these people, right? So I mean, it's just too bad. Dr. John M. Gerhach is the CEO, founder, and chief of Psych Central. He stated, historically in society, this means you, has perceived people with mental disorders as being more violent and dangerous than normal folks. People have this image of someone who is crazy as being more inclined to and acting upon those thoughts and causing mayhem and destruction. This has always been a part of the stigma associated with the mentally ill, and one which has been especially difficult to successfully deal with. Now, I could offer facts and figures to prove how this, to dispute the stigma that we're talking about. But I don't think we need to go any further than just myself and the people that I work with. People that have a diagnosis, that have been struggling to kind of get on top of it and gain control. Are any of these people like homicidal? Are any of these people trying to really hurt anybody? No, they're trying to work through their stuff. So wouldn't it be great if we could reduce this stigma? And I propose one way that we could reduce the stigma is by starting an initiative in schools of all age groups, like from preschools to elementary schools to high schools. And obviously the content would be different for each school, but I think if we could have a figure in each community that has lived with a mental health diagnosis come to the school and speak about what they've gone through and how they've overcome it, that it could be very powerful and to the children and their families, and to put it such a different light on the situation that is out there right now. Because I know personally peer support, which is like me speaking in front of a group of peers, or like me speaking about my diagnosis, provides peer support to anybody who may have a diagnosis or knows somebody that has one, and it's so strong. It's such a great, support system to have, and I just think that if we were to have this in schools, kids would be made aware of it, and then they could take that home and tell mom and dad about the district head of, I don't know, like the fire chief, let's say, whatever, talks about his diagnosis, and, but hey, he's still a fire chief and he does all this great stuff, or whatever. I think that would be really cool. I just have a quote here from Benjamin Rush, who was one of our founding fathers. He signed the Declaration of Independence and is considered the father of American psychiatry because of the work that he's done in the field. He said, "Patriotism is as much a virtue as justice and is necessary for the support of societies as natural affection is for the support of families." Meaning, you need to support and love your family as you need to support and love all Americans. And even, maybe not everybody has our different problems, but if we all have empathy and love and acceptance, our country and the world, I think, will be such a more accepting place. So my closing statement is simply this: I implore you all not to be a judge next time you pass by someone that is asking for help. but to view them as a peer, and you, a member of the jury that can help them in their pursuit of happiness that all citizens in our great nation has a right to explore.